Hello everybody, I'm Valeria from Unger Academy and today I'm here with Gianluca, one of our best students who has made 25,000 euros in 4 months, doubling his initial capital. So it's no coincidence that he's our new trading hero. So hello Gianluca and welcome.
Hello Valeria, and good morning everybody.
Hello. So first of all, I'd like to ask you to tell us a bit more about yourself. What do you do in life?
Well, we can say that my professional life has always been close to the computer world. Even if when you say the words computer science, most people immediately think about programming. I've never actually done anything related to it. The computer world is just so vast. I've dedicated myself to graphics, 3D graphics, and above all to the infrastructural world. In fact, 12 years ago, I founded a company where I'm currently working, and this is my main occupation. We also have our own data center and provide our customers with IT infrastructure services, especially in the industrial sector.
Wow.
Yes, so this is my main occupation today. And as for the future, well, there can be no certainty.
So let's wait and see. Okay, what was your problem before joining our program?
Well, I must admit that throughout my life, I've always done some trading, discretionary trading now and then. I also achieved good results and kept on doing it because I've never lost any money, or at least I've never lost more than I earned. My job gives me the opportunity to spend many hours in front of the computer, but not to monitor the trends on the graphs. And in recent years, I've approached the world of cryptos, and I've noticed that all the events that required my intervention took place during the night. And so the impossibility of being constantly in front of the monitor was a major limitation for me. I've always been good at identifying entry points. I was quite precise and usually achieved excellent results. However, I used to have some difficulties in closing the positions due to various reasons, such as being too convinced of my own opinions, being a little selfish, and so on. And I suppose that this is something that happens to many discretionary traders. I was good at entering, but bad at exiting. So these are the two main triggers. Then there's another aspect that is certainly not less important, and that's that when you monitor the charts, you can't follow a large number of markets. Actually, you generally end up following only 3 or 4 markets, and you also struggle a lot to do it. And one of the main reasons why I decided to abandon this method, well, I think I have to thank Elon Musk, because last year during the first Bitcoin retracement, I had identified the exact retracement point. I mean, I was so sure of it, and I had also started making money. But then one morning I woke up and found that Elon Musk had changed his signature on Instagram, and, well, I lost a lot of money, and that's something I can't put up with.
Okay, and why did you choose to join our program over any other program out there?
But you see, I always try to verify the sources. I mean, we live in an age where information is really overabundant. So more than being informed about what we were told, we need to be informed about who's telling it. So I think it's much more important to analyze the source than the news itself. And that's why when I heard about Andrea, I looked for more information about him. His story is full of concrete facts. And so I concluded that there's no reason for a person with a past like this and who's achieved such results to say things that don't correspond to the truth. And then the second reason is that the things he said, what you all said, Unger Academy, I mean the whole team, are very realistic. No one has ever made promises that can't be achieved or promises easy richness. And everyone has always emphasized the huge commitment that it takes. And by the way, that was one of the things I couldn't fully understand at first. I mean, the necessity to put in so much effort and study became clear to me only the moment I opened the program of the course. And this is one of the main things about this course that really amazed me. The vastness of the subjects that have to be studied and the things that I didn't know, and there were really very many. By the way, these are the main reasons. So the message that was given, but above all, the verification of the source, they were crucial to me.
Okay, so you did some online research. Maybe you watched some of Andrea's interviews, right?
Oh, I've seen a lot of them, I have to be honest. It wasn't really a matter of money. I mean, yes, the money I would have invested in the training course. You see, for me, what was important was the time, my time, that I should have invested in following the program. And so you can believe me when I say that I've watched a lot of Andrea's interviews. I didn't want to improvise. I wanted to make the right choice. And I looked into his story and what he did in life, and that's what I did.
Okay.
To be honest, last year I had a very brief experience with algorithmic trading. I was already getting close to this world, or at least I wanted to get close to it. So I tried to put together some information I could find on the internet. And I also tried using some open source platforms. However, since, as I said before, programming is not my strong point, I encountered several difficulties. But I must also say that the platform I had chosen was inappropriate, both in terms of programming difficulty and of backtesting accuracy. So for me, the value of this training course is not only related to the information it provides, but also to the fact that to start this path, I had to make a number of choices that would have cost me months, if not years, of experience. Choosing the right broker, choosing the right platform, choosing the data provider, and then obviously choosing the whole approach. This aspect is not of secondary importance because, for example, I had tried different platforms when I was a discretionary trader, not to mention those that boast zero commissions. After becoming a bit more experienced in this field, I remember that the first time I started to study crude oil, and to study a system for crude oil and also to send the first orders, I saw the difference between the bid and the ask price given by the broker that I use now. And I compared it to those of the platforms I used in the past. And yeah, the delta is embarrassing. So boasting zero commissions with such bid and ask differences is nearly a scam. So starting with the right broker and the right platform really has great value.
And is there anything in our program that really helped you? I mean, why was it so effective for you?
Well, first of all, as I've mentioned, it helped me a lot with choosing the tools. Now, this choice would have taken months, if not years, of studies, testing, and experience. The other thing that I kept wondering before starting the program is how was it possible that the method was transmissible? I was amazed that, except for a few examples of systems that are released and explained throughout the course, you're actually told how to create your own systems. And this is of fundamental importance because everyone has a very different personal situation. And through the parameters of the system, you can decide your approach and your level of risk. And so it's really you who creates the system. So now I understand why using someone else's system wouldn't make any sense because it's not suited to your personal situation. So this is one of the things about this course that really amazes me.
Okay, so after applying what you learned in the program and after studying and applying the method, what results have you achieved? Tell us a bit more about what I said at the beginning of this interview.
So yeah, the most exciting ones are those you've already mentioned in the beginning. In less than 4 months, I've made a percentage that exceeds 110%. However, it's not the number itself that's interesting, but how I obtained it. I mean, I worked with at least 7 to 8 assets, and I had at least 1 or 2 systems for each of them. So it was the result of a few hundred operations that, when combined, produced that result. Even in the past, I did some great performances, but never in such a granular way. And even if after reaching this peak of equity, I entered a retracement phase, because obviously, like all traders, I live in retracement. That retracement was something I could expect for that kind of trade. And in fact, now my equity has resumed rising, and it's getting closer to that equity peak again. And that's something that further reinforces the results I achieved. The performance is so high because I decided, and maybe Andrea wouldn't agree with me in this, to go live with my systems using a margin that was very close to the whole capital I used. And Andrea generally says that, using 1/3 or at most a half. But it's also true that this is a part of a personal choice. I mean, everyone chooses their starting capital, right? And the starting capital, it sounds bad to say that you're willing to lose it. But, that's the way it is. When you invest your capital in trading, you know that your equity curve can go up and down. And so you have to be aware of that.
Okay, I know this result is pretty recent, as you've just said. However, how has your life changed since you achieved it?
In my life and in my profession, I've always tried to build different sources of income. So there is the main activity that occupies most of the time you decide to dedicate to work. Then there are other activities where maybe you only invest a part of your capital, or mixed activities, or activities that you do only occasionally. What's changed is that trading is now a static part of my income and no longer an occasional one. And the time that I've dedicated to it, well, it's really a lot, and there's no use in hiding it. My job took a lot of time, so I had to dedicate myself to this course in the evening or at night. So for 2 or 3 months, I really studied a lot. Obviously, I was highly motivated because of the quality of the material I found. Also, as you progress, you can't wait to put what you learned into practice. However, to do it, you first need to complete it. And so I really did my best to speed up the process. That being said, now I could even avoid following the systems I have in production, which is more or less what happens. I mean, I obviously check out my platforms once a day, but only for a few minutes. There are also days when I'm very busy at work and I don't even look at them. I always perform the weekly restart on the weekends, etc., but I mean, I could go on like this. By the way, these results I'm getting make me want to invest more time and more money in trading. And I also would like to continue studying and make sure that this component of my income will get an even more important role than the one it has today.
Well, I'd say that you're on the right track. And where do you think you would be right now if you hadn't decided to join our program? For example, doing discretionary trading, or maybe that algorithmic approach you started experimenting with.
I think I'd be seeing a doctor and getting antacid pills, given Elon Musk's statements over the last few months. Perhaps I would have distanced myself a bit from the world of trading, because you're a victim of it without this approach. And that's what I couldn't stand, being a victim of events. Now I'm making light of it because I solved the problem, but believe me, when it happened, it was very frustrating. I mean, following a market for a long time, identifying the entry points, following it again to make sure you made the right choice, and then some sudden event destroys all your work.
Yeah, that must be frustrating.
Yes, it is really frustrating. And this is what's changed. And it's no small thing. Actually, it's a very important goal because approaching this world in a scientific way means detaching yourself from it at the emotional level. This is an incredible result because emotions, in addition to making you feel frustrated, also prevent you from focusing on other things. They disturb your attention, and that's detrimental.
Yes, that's right. And finally, what would you say to those who are watching this interview and are still undecided whether or not to join the Unger Academy program?
Well, what I can recommend is that if someone is experiencing some of the problems I've mentioned during this interview, such as with emotions or the fact of not being in front of the monitor when crucial events occur, then I think they can definitely find a solution to all of this. I found it, and I'm very, very happy about it. Because I was really distancing myself from the world of trading. And I was sorry because it's a world that I'm passionate about and that somehow attracts me. The other thing I'd like to say is that the program is really challenging. On the one hand, this means that the investment in this training program is worth all the money that it costs, given the vastness of the content. Everyone may have skills that can help them in some steps. For example, my infrastructure expertise has made it easier for me to implement what I studied in the module about setting up the infrastructure. The installation of the VPS, the platform, and the environment configuration were very simple for me. And I stick to my knitting when it comes to the VPS because I have my own data center, so I built it in my own house. But on the other hand, for example, I didn't know any programming, zero. But maybe there's someone who, unlike me, already dabbles in it. So everyone has some skills that can help them in this path. A path that requires a lot of perseverance and motivation because, in my opinion, you can't complete it in less than 3 months, unless perhaps you can dedicate yourself to it full time. We can say that from the moment you start, it's an exponential growth curve. You realize those things can really work, and you can't wait to put them into practice. And this makes you invest more time in it. So this is my advice. It's obviously demanding, so it's not an income that comes without any effort or commitment. You need skills, but you also receive the help you need. And we should also say that I've spoken about some things that have helped me, but I should also mention some things that I'm somehow lacking. For example, I'm not a social media guy, and so due to either a lack of time or of discipline, I managed to participate in the coaching calls very few times. However, when I did participate in them, I saw they were very useful. But actually, precisely because I got over the infrastructure part quite fast, I managed to start in an almost autonomous way. But the coaching calls really have an incredible value. So those who have difficulties with the infrastructural part can find valid and concrete help because of the coaches. I heard them. They've got excellent knowledge and skills. As a result, we don't stop in the face of technical problems related to information technology.
Yes, they're very important. And of course, if you can participate in the calls, you can find all the recordings in the archive.
Yes, indeed. And I must admit that I've used them more in this way than in the live mode. When I needed something, I searched the archive and found the answers I was looking for. For me, it was practically impossible to participate in the live calls.
Well done. I'd really like to thank you for the time you dedicated to me and this interview.
Don't mention it. Thanks to you.
You told us about your experience and how the Academy helped you out. We are very happy not only for your more tangible results, but also because we've given you this boost, this desire to find your way. So we hope you'll continue like this and keep moving on. If there is anything else you'd like to add, I'll hand the floor over to you.
Well, one of the things that happened with Unger Academy was that I finally got a Facebook account after many years. It was a way to get the assistance of the coaches, and my wife is so happy now because she can add me to her friends.
The absolute minimum.
Yeah, and well, I think we've said everything. I'd like to add that I can only be happy to have taken this initiative, and I must be honest, I will continue investing in this direction. Speaking to the Academy, I found out that there are other training courses that I consider very interesting and in which I'm going to participate soon.
Great, we're waiting for you, so you can continue your training with us whenever you want. Thank you again, and thank you all for watching this interview. See you next time.
Thank you, Valeria, and happy trading, everybody.